האם זה באמת סגולה בדוקה? הסגולה ללמוד בזה?
Erev Tov, good evening, Dober V'Etcher. We are in the Zera Shimshon on Parshas Chayei. We're going to do Os Beis, section 2. Tonight's learning session is dedicated to the zechus of a shidduch for Miriam Riva Braina Baschana Esther. May she find her shidduch or bashert soon, Be'ezus Hashem. Okay, before we begin, let's take a look at an incredibly famous pasuk, the first pasuk in the parsha, Vayihiyu Chayei Sarah, and it was the lives of Sarah. Mea Shana were 100 years, Ve'esrim Shana and 20 years, Ve'sheva Shanim and 7 years, Shenei Chayei Sarah. These were the years of the lives of Sarah. Zera Shimshon is going to start with that pasuk. Os Beis, section 2. Vayiyu Chayei Sarah, and it was the lives of Sarah. Hadohu dichsiv. This pasuk reflects a teaching from another pasuk, a pasuk in Tehillim. Yodea Hashem Yemei Semimim. Hashem knows the days of the perfect, of the tzaddikim, of the righteous. Kishem shehem temimim, just like the tzaddikim are perfect. Kach shenosehem temimim, so too their years are perfect. Ad kan lashono, until here is a quote from the Medrash Rabbah. And the Zera Shimshon continues by way of explaining exactly what the Medrash Rabbah is trying to say. He continues, Kehahi de perakama de sota. This teaching from the Medrash Rabbah is explained in the first chapter of Maseches Sota. Vayomer Alehem ben Mea ve'esrim shana anochi hayom. The Gemara over there quotes this pasuk, which is quoting Moshe Rabbeinu from the beginning of Parshas Vayelech, where he says, I am 100, Hashem told Bnei Yisrael, I am 120 years old today. She'ein Talmud lomar hayom. So the Gemara in Sota says, there doesn't seem to be anything taught to us by the extra word hayom. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu add the word today? Why didn't he just say, I am 120 years old? Uma Talmud lomar hayom. What did Moshe in fact want to teach us by saying hayom today? Hayom today, molu yomai ushnosai. Today my days and my years were filled. Lilamdecha, to teach you, shehakodesh baruch hu mashlim shenosehem shel tzadikim. Hashem completes the years of the righteous, miyom liyom, from day to day, umechodesh lechodesh, and from month to month. Let's pause here for a moment. On a simple level, it would seem that what the Zera Shimshon is teaching us from these sources, the Medrash Rabbah, and the Gemara in Maseches Sota, is that tzaddikim, Hashem ensures that righteous individuals pass away, leave this world on the same day that they were born, so that their years and their days are full and complete. And that's certainly a teaching that we've heard, that we're familiar with or may have heard before. But as we're going to see, the Zera Shimshon has more to add to this and to expand to this idea. Next paragraph, top column on the left. V'koshe, and there's a problem. The harubam shel tzadikim v'chasidim lo mesu biyom leidosam. The majority of righteous and pious individuals did not die on the day that they were born. Why didn't Hashem complete their years? Why didn't Hashem make it so that they were able to continue living until they reached their birth date and then died on their birth date, to have a full, complete, so to speak, perfect years? And that's the question, so to speak, from reality, from what we call the mitzias. Zera Shimshon is saying it's a wonderful idea theoretically that all righteous and pious individuals are born on a specific day and die on that same day, but that's not what we find in reality. The vast majority of people, righteous people, tzaddikim, do not die on the same day that they were born. V'yesh l'dakte kaloshon, and we need to analyze more carefully the terminology shell of miyom liyom umechodesh lechodesh. The Gemara that the Zera Shimshon quoted at the end of the previous paragraph said, Hashem completes the years of the righteous from day to day and from month to month. And Zera Shimshon says that those words have to be analyzed, because if we can understand them more precisely and more deeply, then we can answer our question as to why many righteous individuals, in fact, do not die on the same day that they were born. The Isab, next paragraph, the Isab Perak Testa Arochin. It states in another Gemara, this is a Gemara from Meseches Arochin, Plugta bein Rabbi v'Rabbanon. There is an argument brought down in that Gemara between Rabbi. Rabbi is, of course, Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, the great Tana, the great author of our organizer, codifier of the Mishnah. V'Rabbanon, and the sages, the rabbis, they had an argument, a disagreement, Bahai Kra, about a certain pasuk, Dichsiv, where it's written, Ad meloos lo shana temima, until the completion of a perfect year, a full year. That pasuk is referring to the fact that if you have a base moshav ir choma, if you have a home that is built in the wall, within a walled city, we're going back, of course, to when that was a more common idea to have walled cities in Eretz Yisrael. So let's say you had a home, you lived in a home in a walled city. So that home, if you sold it, you could redeem it, which means you could buy it back from the buyer, from the purchaser of your home, for 1 full year. After 1 full year, if you did not use your right to buy it back, to redeem it from the purchaser, then it belonged to the purchaser forever and perpetuity after that. And even when the Yovel year came, when most homes and most property did revert back to the original owner, this particular house in the walled city would not return to the owner. So it had different rules. But what the Zera Shimshon is focused on is, what does this argument between Rebbe and the Rabbanan, what did they say about the definition of a full year? Continuing, the Rabbi Savar, Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, is of the opinion, bein shana pshuta, that whether or not the particular year in which the person sold his home is a regular year, and by that, a shana pshuta, a regular year means a year of 12 lunar months, bein shana meuberes, or whether or not that year in which the man sold his home in the walled city is an intercalated year of 13 lunar months. No matter which one of those things is true, Mona Shin Samich Yom, the seller counts 365 days, and during those 365 days, which do not correlate to 12 lunar months, which would be 354 days, or 13 lunar months, which would be 384 days, Rebbe says, don't follow the lunar months, follow the solar months and count 360, a solar year and count 365 days. And that's how long the seller has to redeem his home and buy it back. And if he doesn't do so within the 365 days, the house is transferred to the purchaser completely, and the seller cannot redeem it after that. V'chachamim sovrim, and the chachamim hold the vishana pshuta, in a regular year, which means again of 12 lunar months, nechlat habayis, the house is completely transferred over. Lesof, at the end, yud beis Chodesh miyom liyom, 12 months from the day of the month to the same day of the month, 12 months later. The Hainu Shin Nun Daled Yom, which is 354 days. Uvim uberes, and if it's a month, if it's a leap year of 13 months, nosnim lo kol chodesh ha'ibor, we give to the seller all of the extra month that is included in that year, and the seller has the seller has the 384 days to redeem his home and to get it back from the buyer. Ad kan lishono, until here is a quote from the Gemara and Maseches Arachin. So what we've seen, what the Zera Shimshon is giving us from this Gemara, is teaching us that there is a machlokes between Rebbe and the Chachamim, or the Rabbanon, about what the Torah means in this instance, using the term until the completion of a shana semima, a full year, with Rebbe saying a full year means 365 days, corresponding to a solar year, and the Chachamim argue and say no, it refers to a full year of lunar months based on the lunar calendar, which would either be 12 of those months, 354 days, or it would be 13 of those months in a leap year, and that would equal 384 days. So you can see that that difference of opinion has practical ramifications in terms of how long a seller of a home in a walled city would be able to get it back from the buyer. Let's continue in the next paragraph. Nimtza, we find the Bein LeRabbi uvein LeRabbanon, whether or not we're following Rabbi Yehuda Hanosi's opinion, or whether or not we're following the opinion of the sages of the Rabbanon, Ika kula v'chumra. There is a leniency and a stringency. Rabbi, according to Rabbi Yehuda Hanosi, b'shana pshuta ika achad asar yom yiserim. In a regular year in which the rabbis would say the person only has the seller only has 354 days to get his house back, Rebbe is much more lenient to the seller, and so gives him 365 days, an extra 11 days in which he's able to buy his home back. So if a person procrastinates and waits to the last minute, so to speak, or the last few days of the designated year after he sells his home, he's okay according to Rebbe, because he has 11 extra days. He has 11 extra days until the 365 days have passed in order to buy back his home from the purchaser. Ule Rabbanan, and shifting over now to the other school of thought, according to the sages, Vishana me'uberes ika chodesh yoser. In a leap year with that extra month in the lunar calendar, that extra month, there's a whole extra month to be able to buy back the home, and that would give the seller 384 days, which of course is more than 365 days to be able to buy his home back. So both in the opinion of Rebbe and in the opinion of the Rabbanan, we find that there's a leniency to the seller to give him more time in certain circumstances to be able to buy his home back. However, as the Zera Shimshon said in the first line of his paragraph, Ika kula v'chumra, there's a leniency and a stringency, because from the perspective of the buyer, there's a stringency here. Things are more severe against him, according to Rebbe, first of all, because the seller you have 365 days with those 11 extra days to get his home back. That is a chumrah on the buyer of the home. He cannot claim complete ownership of his home for perpetuity until after the 365 days, as opposed to the 354 days. And in a situation in which it's a regular in which it's a leap year, he has to wait the 384 days, according to the sages, the Rabbanan, as opposed to the 365 of Rebbe or the 354 of a normal year without being a leap year. So we see that there's a leniency and a stringency on each side. V'lachein amru b'Gemara, and therefore they said in the Gemara, she'HaKadosh Baruch Hu nosein latzadikim, that Hashem gives to the righteous b'sashlim shenosehem. He completes their years. Lemar k'de'isle ulemar k'de'isle, according to one opinion and according to the other opinion, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I will take into account both the opinion of Rebbe and the opinion of the Rabbanan in this matter of the selling the home in terms of their definition of a year, and I will take the lenient opinion of both in order to add and increase the lifetimes of righteous individuals. Dahainu, this means miyom liyom, from day to day, mon elahem yomim. Hashem counts days for them, kisvara de Rabbi, like the view, like the opinion of Rebbe Yehuda Hanasi, the Omar Mone Yomim, who says we count the days of the solar calendar to give a seller 365 days. So therefore, Hashem looks at the righteous individual and determines that that righteous individual is going to get the benefit of the extra days added to his lifetime each year, 11 more days from that a solar year would add to a lunar year. Ve'od, in addition to that calculation, to that cheshbon, bishonos me'uboros, in years which are leap years that have the 13 months, nosem lohem kedivrei chachomim chodesh yoser. Hashem is going to give the righteous an extra month, according to the opinion of the Rabbanon. Uvekach shenosehem temimim, and that is what is meant by their years being perfect. That's the true meaning, that Hashem adds to their years these days according to the views of Rebbe and the Rabbanon. Dahainu, that this means shebeketsef midas hashonim, in calculating in calculating the amount of years shenigzuru lahem, that were decreed for righteous individuals. Lo nishlam zeh haketzef, this calculation is not complete ad sheyavru aleihem, until these there passes on these people, meaning these people are able to live kol hayomim v'hachodoshim, and the months, all the days and the months, the shaychi, that are relevant lipshutos, to the regular years of 12 months, uleme'ubaros, and of the leap years, shall call you mechayechem, of all of the days of their lives. Uchesheyishtalmu eile hayomim, only once all of these days are calculated and added and completed, nikrush nosehem temimim, then we can say that their years have been completed and are perfect. Because Hashem has completed their years from day to day and from month to month. So let's pause a moment before this last paragraph. What the Zera Shimshon is saying is that we started with this idea, a rather basic or simple idea, that righteous individuals are Hashem completes their years by arranging for them to leave this world on the same day same date that they left this world. However, because we see that often is not the case with exceedingly righteous people, that they do not die on the same day they were born, Zera Shimshon says it must be a more complicated calculation, and therefore he showed us how the calculation is based on the fact of this machlokas about how we calculate a full year regarding the sale of a home in a walled city in Eretz Yisrael. And there, because the machlokas involved opinions which had leniencies in each one to benefit the seller, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to take the benefit of both of the positions, Rebbe and the Chachamim and the Rabban, and I'm going to take both of those opinions and add that to the lives of the righteous, and only after all those days are added to their life, to their designated day when they were originally destined to leave this world, then we can say their days are complete. So a righteous person will, in many cases, live longer than his or her birthday because Hashem is adding these extra days and months. Next paragraph. V'hashta osi shapir. And now that we understand this, it makes sense. Shematzinu b'Yalkut Yehoshua, what we find in the Yalkut Shimoni Medrash on Sefer Yehoshua, u'v'mechilta Parshas B'Shalach, and in the Medrash of the Mechilta on Parshas B'Shalach, Machlokes al Yom Misas Moshe. There's an argument over there in those two places about the day that Moshe Rabbeinu died. Those sources are of the opinion that Moshe was born on the 7th day of Shvat, not the day that we're used to thinking of Moshe's birth and death on the 7th day of Adar, but rather over there it says he was born on the 7th day of Shvat. And then there's a machlokas about when he died. Chayei Shomrim Zayin Shvat. One opinion is that he died on the 7th of Shvat, meaning he died on the same day he was born, according to the viewpoint that he was born on the 7th of Shvat. V'yesh Omrim Ches Adar. And some people say he actually died on the 8th of Adar, meaning if he was born on the 7th of Shvat and he died on the 8th of Adar, he had a little more than an extra month of life after the day that he was born. And that second opinion fits into what the Zera Shimshon has taught us, that Hashem adds days to the life of the righteous in order to truly give them all of the days and benefit of all the benefit of all of the days to have a completely full and perfect life. Yashar Koch for joining in the learning of the Zera Shimshon this week. We look forward to learning together again in the Zera Shimshon, God willing, next week.